Glad you could join me today. My name is Carl. I'm a Bob Ross certified painting instructor. I thought today we'd do a fantastic landscape painting that you're going to want to try. Thank you so much to those who've watched my videos. I greatly appreciate it. Let's go up to the canvas. So up here I have a 16 by 20 canvas. I've covered it in a very thin coat of liquid white. The liquid white is wet so we can move and slide paint. So let's begin with the sky. I thought today I'd bring out the 2-inch brush, so we're going to go into a little bit of phthalo blue. Maybe we'll put some warmth to it, and this will just be a fun little painting. So I'm just doing X strokes. You know, the one nice thing with the 2-inch brush, often in my videos you see me use the 1-inch brush, but it does cover pretty quick, which is nice. So let's bring some of this color down here. Just doing X strokes. You know, maybe one of these days I'll get an 18 by 24 canvas and give that a go. So I'm just covering kind of around that center area. We're going to do some red in there. And then down here we're going to have some water. So maybe we have some horizontal strokes, just pulling from the side. I'd really encourage you to try this one. I think this is a lot of fun. I think hopefully you'll enjoy it. If you want to just sit back and relax, that's fine too. And then I'm going to go into a little bit of alizarin crimson. And right in here, just a nice little warmth. And then let's bring a little color down into the water. That'll make our water look a little bit more realistic later on. So maybe down in there. And I'm just going to start blending. And if you have these little hairs, this brush hasn't been used much. If you cut across it, it'll pick them right off. Sometimes I leave those. I think it adds to the character of a painting. I have the fan brush. I'm going into a little bit of titanium white. Maybe a hint of that crimson color. Maybe we'll have just some layers of clouds. I'm just using the corner of the brush. So just focus on that top edge. Yeah, and maybe, you know what, maybe these come up here. And again, we'll do a few different layers. And maybe we have, oh, yep, right in there. Just have fun. Maybe they kind of come together there. And then we're going to take that 2-inch brush, same one that we did the sky with. Again, you can use the 1-inch brush, and we'll just fluff the base. Fluff the base. Just be careful not to disrupt the top too much, and then we're going to lightly fluff, fluff, very light pressure, and then go across. And you can put so many clouds that you want, but look at how soft and wonderful those are. I don't know, maybe we just have another some layers of clouds. Get to have fun with this. There, oh, those come right across, look at that. And, you know, leave a few dark areas. Maybe we've got just some things happening out here. That'll be a fun one. Ooh, let's put another one right over in here, maybe right there. Just a fun cloud, just floating up there, minding its own business. All right, let's take that 2-inch brush and let's just soften. You can go right up, and I'm using kind of the corner to do those little circular strokes. There. You know, painting should make you happy. I love when, you know, your vision comes to reality on canvas in your world, as Bob would say. Just fluff in the clouds and then go across lightly. I'm going to take a little bit of that white and we're going to mix up a little bit of a foothill color. We're just going to do some fun foothills. Yeah, just like that. Just maybe there's some distant foothills back here. We don't know. Just kind of tapping. There's not going to be a lot of detail. And I can leave some of the space to let some of that red show through. Kind of add some distance. And then let's take that 2-inch brush and just kind of tap and soften. So I'm kind of softening the base. I just want that distant look. Look at that. And who knows, let's have some fun with this. Let's take that same color and add a little bit of the alizarin crimson. Kind of a lavendery color. And then maybe we have some hills that kind of come down in front. Something like that. And maybe, who knows, maybe they just kind of, just very lightly go off. And I'm just tapping. But notice I'm leaving some space. I think that adds, like I said, I think it adds just extra to your picture. Maybe these come around here. As we get into this picture, I think you'll see this one be a fun, you know, maybe go on a hike, enjoy the woods. And then let's take the 2-inch brush and just ever so soft, kind of blend. We're blending the base. And maybe up here we'll just disturb that just a touch there. And then very soft. And then let's go back into, I'm going to go into some of that blue color again. Same brush, same fan brush. So I've kind of turned it back to the bluish side. If you want it to be purple, maybe we'll bring in a little bit more lavender there. And a hint of dark. Distant evergreens, but they're a little bit more detailed. That's fun. Yeah, so they're a little bit more detailed. Maybe they go right there. So I'm just tapping. I need a little bit more paint, so we'll mix up a little bit more color. Something about like that. There. And I'm really just focusing on that top edge. And we'll take that same brush, pull straight down. There. And you know what, maybe we can just disturb some of the base just a little bit. Okay, and then let's add a little bit of sap green. As we get closer, we're going to turn a little bit more green. So maybe that comes right in front there. Just some indications. And we'll pull a few reflections here too. So straight down. I'm just kind of disturbing, not so much creating mist, but it could look like that. And then we're going to pull straight down. Ever so soft across. Let's go a little bit darker as we move forward. Maybe a little bit more kind of green color. Maybe some phthalo green. Some distant trees. But these are way far away. We just have a little tiny, so that, look at this, pushes that layer behind. Maybe we have just kind of some grassy areas here. Comes down to the water. And the fact that these aren't super detailed, that's good because these are far away. We won't see too much. And then let's do a little reflection. So I'm just gonna very carefully just kind of put in some indication here. And then down here we'll just pull. So I'm pulling some reflections. A little narrower as we get over here. And then very, very soft. So this is my 2-inch brush. 2 hairs and some air, very soft. We're gonna go across. When I'm painting on video here, pay attention to your canvas, and I didn't do a great job of that. Because where I'm standing, and I'm kind of standing off to the side, we don't want our water and land to be tilted. So we want to make sure that I'm going to bring this side down a little bit. I think that'll look more perspective-wise proper. And then bring this up a little bit. So that's kind of balancing it out more. Let's kind of come down here. There we go. And then I'll pull my reflection here. Okay, reflect. Let's take ever so slightly. Let's take that same brush, and I'm going to go into a little bit. Let's go into a little bit of the ochre. Very, very golden, greenish color. And just here and there. You won't even see much. Maybe we'll bring in a touch of Indian yellow. I want this to be very, very soft because there won't be much detail back here. So just little bits. And I'm just tapping. There. And then I'm just putting a few indications in the water. So I'm just pulling down a hint of color. Remember, we want them going horizontal. We don't want them to be tilted. There. And then I'll bring a touch more just white in there, and maybe over here, right on the edge. Take a little bit of Van Dyke, a little bit of alizarin crimson, a little bit of sap green, and we'll take a chunk of black. Oh, right there. So corner, and I'm just adding more pressure and branching out as we go down. And again, as you're going through the paint, it will start to mix. You can always add a little bit of odorless thinner. I use walnut oil. You can do liquid white, but that will change the tone a little bit. There. Just some happy friends overlooking this, what will turn into a nice lake. And maybe we just have these two. And I'm just going to scrub in a little bit of, maybe some bushes. So maybe we have just some bushes kind of right in here. Maybe they come down right there. Yep. I'm getting in some color. I'm going to switch over to a 1-inch brush, same color. Just something different today. There. And then I'm gonna put the illusion of a tree, not much. I'm actually wiping off the brush. And then right down in here, so think about where that tree is. And then we have a little one here. And I'm just gonna scrub in. I have hardly any color on the brush. And I'm almost kind of sliding. So I'm almost kind of sliding the brush just a little bit and reversing it. This one goes a little taller. And then let's take that 2-inch brush. Kind of focus on your angles. I want this side to come down a little bit lower. Like a whisper. And then go across. Fan brush with a dark color. Let's go into, I'm going to take a little bit of cad yellow. Maybe we'll go into that kind of greenish mixture. Just highlighting these evergreens. And let's do this one here. So right at the top, just focusing on the right side. So I'm just going to tap, 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 tap. Maybe a little bit of phthalo green. Just add a little brightness to it. And I don't know, maybe out here we're going to have some happy bushes. Yeah. Maybe go into a little bit of that yellow ochre. Just little bushes like that. Wow, look at that. So let's take a little bit of the white, some black. So again, you can use thinner. We want this to be pretty thin. So I'm going into one side of the brush, I'm going into the gray color. And then the other side, I'm going into some white. All right, here we go. And maybe just pushing sideways, maybe. Look at that, we have some, maybe there's a big rock that lives right there. Just like that. So I'm just reloading, very thin paint. And you can just add as many or as few as you want. Let's change the tone a bit. Let's go into some yellow ochre. There. Just here and there. Maybe this comes down to the water's edge. I think we're going to do some shoreline in there. And we'll reflect it. Pull straight down. There. And I'm going to take that same brush. Very soft. Very soft. Go across. Little roll of paint. And then in here and there, I'm going to start. Let's start scrubbing in. Maybe there's some of the sandy parts that kind of come up. And then also go out into the water. Yeah, maybe this comes just right out here. And then we'll go back in with some grasses to kind of shape it. Go into the dark sienna and just mix up a little highlight color. And then just lightly. Very soft. I'm just grazing. Let the paint take what it wants. There's the paint on there. I like that color. There. Let's do a little some vibrant grasses here. And I'm going to push up. And maybe they come right underneath those rocks. There, look at that. Just overgrown, you know, growing out to the water's edge. And this helps break it up too, right back up there. And if you want to, remember what I said, be very careful, but let's go into some more cad yellow, and I'm going to push that ridge of paint. So this is my highlight 1-inch brush. And if I push that in there, see that? You can add just some extra very detailed highlights. And if you take the white, you can really have fun with this. Maybe we have one. Maybe there's a little bit of red in there. Notice I hardly did any. I don't want to change it too much, but maybe there's just some things here and there around the rocks. I like that. I like that color. So a little roll of paint. Think about the water. Remember, we're flowing with, think of the bottom of your canvas. That's the direction we want to go. And then maybe right out here, this one comes way down. Who knows, maybe this comes out here. A little bit of some ripples. And this side, we're just going to tap some happy trees here. So we're just going to start thinking like trees. And in fact, you know what I'm going to do is let's switch to the 2-inch brush. Let's have some fun. So just tap. I just used that same 2-inch brush that I've been blending. There, I think that I'm liking that. And then I'm going to go a little bit of black into this color. And we'll kind of darken this part up here. Just tap away. And I've got one side that's dark, one side that's a little bit lighter. And maybe we'll have some trees in there. Tree trunks. All right, I'm going to take that same 2-inch brush and we're going to go into, let's start with some of those yellow colors. Want that little ridge of paint. So you're really pushing through the palette. Look at that. Again, change the flavor a little bit. Maybe we'll go into a little bit of the ochre. Right under here, just some happy bushes right at the base there. And we're going to get a little darker, be a little bit of sap green. Tap, tap, tap. And who knows, maybe right in here. Right here, just some grasses. And I want this to be on the darker side. And then down here, maybe just some. There. And I see a path. So let's get some of that dark color. So Van Dyke, dark sienna. And maybe out of the woods here. Maybe there's just. Yeah, they just. When you're little kids, you go running through the woods, start searching for paths and things here and there. white with a little bit of that brown mixture and do some highlights. Light pressure. And now I'm going to go to a 1-inch brush. And I'm going to go into a little bit of some of the brighter colors. And we'll just have a little bit of fun. We do need to highlight these guys out here. Just some indications out here. And I have some liquid white. And let's put a few highlights right next to the path. Just some, maybe there's grasses and things. Yeah, and let's bring in a little yellow. I'm going to cover that a little bit more. I'm going to start bringing out a little bit extra highlight. So just here and there. Yeah, I like that. Maybe there's just some light catching some of those trees. And again, these layers add that extra depth. Corner of the brush. And you can change the flavor, the tone. And again, if it's not sticking, add a little bit of liquid white. Maybe there's some hanging down that are just catching the light. Maybe just some indications. Right there. It's easy to get carried away, easy to overdo it. Here and there. Again, you should, try this painting, be creative, come up with your own designs in your world. Real or not. Doesn't matter if it makes you happy. I think with that, I'm going to call this finished and I'm going to sign it. Please give this painting a try. I think you're going to like it. Check out my website at carlvonartistry.com. If you're looking for Bob Ross supplies or art supplies in general, you can check out my affiliate links in the description below. Please like this video if you enjoy my content. Happy painting. See you next time.